really welcome here to the third and final for this year, this season, Slavery to Freedom. And I'm so happy to see this full room, nearly full. This is great. This is great. It helps when there's not ice on the sidewalks and the roads, right? Yep. So, so I'm Joyce DeYoung. I am the Dean of Michigan State University College of Osteopathic Medicine. This is an amazing series that we've had going for how many years now? 26 years. So, Dr. Anderson, I hope he's watching remotely. This is in deference to him and in honor of his legacy. And I see a lot of familiar faces in the audience, but I also see some visitors from the outside. So welcome to Michigan State University. And I'm going to turn it over to our to Dr. Marita Gilbert. And if I gave your new title, I might mess it up because I'm not used to it now. So I'm just going to say to Dr. Marita Gilbert, a valued member of our college. Thank you, Dr. Gilbert.
Hello, everyone. That was kind of mid. That's what my nephews would say. I'm gonna try it again. Hello, everybody. Oh, that's so much better. If Kim was here, she would say that y'all aren't lively because I didn't have the music going. So charge it to my head, not my heart. I want to thank Dean DeYoung for welcoming us. I really want to extend such gratitude for all of your support this year. It has been phenomenal. Let me just say, I have been receiving your feedback every week. So thank you for sharing the love. We've heard that you love being in the Multicultural Center. We have taken that to heart. We heard that you have loved that we traveled to Detroit, and you hope that we continue to do that and be in different spaces. Those were some firsts for us. And then today we got a lot of feedback for having our community engaged event. So we had first some time at the archive, and we got to see some of the MSU collection of quilts, which is quite extensive. And we surprised Miss China because one of her quilts was there. So that was really great. We also had some time with an arts and education class just before this presentation, and that was a packed room, and it was actually a quilt and learn. So we had some students who were quilting while we were talking, and then we had a panel, and that was phenomenal. So this year has been kind of a year of firsts, and you all have embraced them, and I'm hearing that you like that. So we will continue to try to think of new ways to engage you all. So what I would like to do, I want us to start, we always start with our students. And so I'm going to invite OMS Sarah Bravo, who is president of our Student National Medical Association. She'll come up and read the land acknowledgement, and then she'll be followed by our second year music performance student, who is in the MSU College of Music, Miss Janae Washington, who will sing the Black National Anthem. We ask that you stand if you are able until the conclusion of that song, all right? OMS Bravo.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
It's a pleasure to be here and to be able to read this statement. Michigan State University's campus is located in what is called Nukwajong by the Anishinaabe. Michigan State University occupies the ancestral, traditional, and contemporary lands of the Anishinaabe Three Fires Confederacy of Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi peoples. The university's campus resides on the traditional lands of the Saginaw Band of Chippewa, ceded under coercive or violent circumstances in the 1819 Treaty of Saginaw. Michigan State University is supported through the Land Grant Act, where 10.7 million acres were taken from 245 tribal nations through the treaty system to fund and establish agricultural colleges. Michigan State University was established on and with 235,193 acres of Anishinaabe land, ceded in the 1819 Treaty of Saginaw and the 1836 Treaty of Washington. Michigan State University recognizes, supports, and advocates for the sovereignty of Anishinaabe nations from the Great Lakes area, for historic Indigenous communities in Michigan, for Indigenous individuals and communities who live here now, and for those who were forcibly removed from their homelands. By offering this land acknowledgement, we affirm Indigenous sovereignty and will work to hold ourselves more accountable to the needs of Indigenous peoples and to the creation of equitable and fair policies for years to come. Thank you.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise highest the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
So thank you to OMS Bravo and to Miss Washington. I just want to share that last week, 2 weeks ago, when we were in Detroit, it was such a joy to see Dr. Anderson, and he was really excited about all of the love and messages that you have been sending his way. And so he wanted me to share his thanks and appreciation for you all tonight. So Dr. Anderson, we love you right back. Okay, we are going to get right into it. I want to introduce tonight's speakers. Miss Marianne and China Pettway are truly national treasures. The Pettways create masterpieces from what they call scraps, remnants, and often disregarded material. Through quilting, they share elements of history, culture, family, and community. Gee's Bend, which is officially known as Boykin, Alabama, is a community in the rural Black Belt South in Alabama. Most of the residents are direct descendants of the formerly enslaved sharecroppers who were able to buy land and build houses on what had been the Gee family plantation, land that their families had formerly worked. After a debut exhibition at Houston's Museum of Fine Arts, which celebrated 4 generations of Gee's Bend quilting legacy, the Gee's Bend Quilting Collective was founded in 2003 to share and market the brilliance and beauty captured by this community's quilting. In 2006, some of you remember, the United States Postal Service commemorated the Geesben quilting tradition as part of the American Treasures series by releasing stamps, a full sheet of stamps, which featured quilts that were made between 1940 and 1998. I can tell you that as I have worked with the Pettways over the past months and come to know them, I can absolutely share that the love that they imbue into their work is tangible in any conversation that you have with them. So, without further ado, from the Geesben Quilting Collective, please welcome Miss China and Miss Marianne Pettway. Thank you. I didn't know my part. That's why I couldn't sing with them. I'm practice next time. I'm gonna be ready. So I'm gonna start where we typically have started. And to do so, I want to call in to this space my own auntie, my Aunt Josie, who was a trained librarian, but is a seamstress and master quilter. And so all day long, as we have been together and hanging out, I can't help but think how proud she would be and how excited she would be. And so I'm calling her into that space, into this space right now. I like to start our conversations all the time by allowing our guests to name or to talk about those people who have been influential or who have impacted your lives and your work. To give you a chance to speak the names of your ancestors or those who have walked beside you and been influential. So that's how we'll start. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the folks who have been impactful in your life and work?
Oh, yes. If I start crying now, just take a look. Well, my mother, she's the one that started me how to make a quilt. And I was born and raised there in Geesben. And I'm the seventh child of 12 children she had. Only 8 of us lived, 5 girls and 1 boy. I'm sorry, 5 girls and 3 boys. And she was a big influence in my life. When Mama was sent to the sewing machine where you had to pedal with your feet, how to sew, I was always sitting down by her feet. And I was just watching her. I want to be like Mama. And so she said, well, let me show you how to make a 9-patch. He was like 5 of one color and 4 of another color. And so she showed me how to make that. As you can see, red and black and white is my favorite colors. And so this block was a red and green color. Whatever happened to it, I don't know. I was about 7 years old at the time when she taught me how to make it. And she was was a friend. She gone on home. Thank you, Jesus. She's gone on home now. Since 1990. I lost my daddy. He was like 56. And my daddy, he was mentally ill. So mama had to be, like the daddy and the mama for all of us. And I thank God that she trained me, taught me what she did, because if she didn't teach me what she taught me, I wouldn't be here today. I remember a time when when we did something we didn't have no business doing, we got a whooping. They saying they got punched, but we got a whooping. And see, I don't remember mama whooping but 2 times at least. Because I didn't want to get no whoop from mama. It's like she was very powerful when she whooped you. But anyway, I thank God that she did. Because see, then at that time, I thought mama didn't love me. She whooped me because she did love me. And she would just teach me what I need to know. And I thank God she taught me. I finished high school in 1975. And I asked her, Mom, do I got to go to college? She said, no. She said, all I want you to do is finish high school. And so when I finished high school, and I went to college. I did like a home study course. I finished accounting and bookkeeping. But my brother had asked me, he said, man, you got the diploma in accounting and bookkeeping. Why you ain't working in, in the building? I said, well, I just never thought of it. I just looked like working with numbers. And so in 2005, they asked me to be the manager of the GB and Quilt Collective. And when I became manager of GB and Quilt Collective, when I joined these ladies, I said, I didn't join these ladies to be no manager. I didn't want this responsibility. But it's something they saw in me to trust me enough to be, over the GB and Quilt Collective. And I thank God for that. I only had been in there for about 3 months, from June up until October. And then this lady said that she was wanted to do something else, but I didn't take over, her position until January of 2006. And when I first started making my quilt, I thought about what Mama taught me, how to make the 9-patch block. And when I made the 9-patch block, Deshaun, my oldest grandson, he was about 3 years old. So he come in my room. I had spread the quilt on my bed. He came in my room, and he looked at that quilt. He said, oh, Mom, that's pretty. I like it. And I looked back at that little boy because it was shocked me, because that was like one of the longest things he said since he started talking. So that inspired me to, that's kind of influenced me to continue on quilting. And my daughter, grandmother, Alonzo Pettway, she was a dear friend of mine too. She passed on too. And I was telling her about going to visit with her a lot. And so when I went to visit her, she was telling me about all these stories. She'd been going off to these different museums, meeting new people, making new friends. And I said, Lord, sometimes you tell me what a good time you had. I want to have one too. She said, God, let's start back to quilting. Because see, Mama had already taught me how to quilt. So I didn't start when she told me to. And then once I started, they had went on this trip to Milwaukee. And I started with them after they came back from Milwaukee. And that's when I joined the ladies. And I said, well, all I want to do was, go with them, set my quilts, and sing. And so that's what we did. I did, my first museum I went with them was June College Museum in Auburn, Alabama. And so I've been traveling with them ever since. And when I look back over 20 years, that's 20 years this past January, I've been the manager of the GB and Quilt Collective. And I had a lot of influence in my life. When I started with China now, some of the ladies was influencing me. Someone was showing me how they did it. And once I got some of the know-hows from some of the quilts, their house top, lace scale, bricklayer, they were naming different names. So when I learned how to do some of those, then God blessed me with a knowledge or skill or, something that I could do myself. And so when I started working with these quilts and these pieces, and I love working with pieces, as you can see, this is one of my pieces. And This is something I love. I wanted to keep this for myself. And I named this a loving sacrifice. That's why I named it a loving sacrifice, because I wanted for myself. You always give somebody something that you love yourself. So I was told not to give something that you don't like, just give it to somebody else. But if you love yourself, then you give it to somebody because you love it yourself. And when Miss Barbara called and asked me about creating a quilt, I found a piece of fabric. She asked me, she said, do you have an African fabric? I had made a quilt, but, and she texted back, she said, do you have some African fabric? And so, and I told her, I said, well, I have a piece, but I got to find it. So lo and behold, I found a piece of African fabric, and somehow or another, we had an accident happen in our building, and when the guys come there to work on the building, they moved the stuff, and I didn't know what happened to it. So I happened to have this one already in progress. I said, well, I know what, this got a piece of African fabric in it. And this lady had been to Africa, and she told me with these polka dot pieces in it, well, you could tell it's African. She said, Mary, this is African fabric. And I had actually started putting this piece together years ago. And when I said, let me look at my suitcase with all these pieces that I got started. And at first, I really was making this quilt for you when she asked me about doing it. And I changed my mind. I want to keep it for myself. So when I couldn't find that piece, I said, you know what? I'm going to do this sacrifice. I'm going to give her this. I said, I'm going to do love and sacrifice. So that's how this quilt got its name. And I just love it. Let me stop, because, you know, I love to talk.
Miss China.
Yeah. You have to stop and put a man on and talk. Talk enough for me too.
No, we want to know
Jesus.
people.
Yeah, they want to hear about you too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus.
Always doing that.
Good evening, everybody. Everybody done. Y'all looking good. Thank God. And I thank God for this opportunity that He given us to come out here to visit with you all. And when they said, Mary was telling me about Michigan, she said, in Michigan? I was, oh my God, I never been there. And I wanted to come. So here I am. God got me here. So many faith. Look at you all. Y'all have a beautiful smile on your face. And I thank you all for coming out just to hear me and Mayran tell our story. Because if I will really tell y'all what I've been through, I'm not going to tell you all. But I thank God for you all having us to come out here. Because you know, when I was 12 years old, 11 years old, I wanted to be like my mama. Everything my mama did, I wanted to be just like my mom. And so my oldest sister, she ain't like to do too much, but she loved to cook. She was a good cooker and sleep. And I said, I want to do things my mama did. So when we first started out, my mama used to we didn't have no scissors. We got that old big old dull knife, and she used to cut up a piece, and we would pull it apart with our hand. But God opened up a door that we was able to get scissors. And when the ArtNet came down, they stopped in Alberta, Alabama, New Rehoboth, Alabama. And Mr. Ned was kin to Sister Alonzo. And Mr. Ned called Sister Alonzo, and Sister Alonzo called my mother and said, I don't mean no harm. I'm going to say just what she said. I'm not saying it. There's a crazy white man up here buying these ugly quilts. He wants some quilts. And so she just said, send him on down. When he came down, he went to my mom's house. He got quilt. Went to Sister Alonzo Pettway house. He got quilt. When he came to my house, I always loved pretty things. And I had a beautiful quilt. It was beautiful on the front. But he took the back of the quilt, which was brown, black, and orange. And I hated it so bad. But he said, this art. I said, no, I wanted you to tell. I said, that art. He got it and hung it up and got it in a book. And I said, no, it hurt me so bad Cause I wanted the front to be showing. I always loved pretty thing. You know, when he put that ugly, but it was art. He said, this is art time. And by going on all those different trips I had went, I discovered that it was art. And I walked through that museum, and I looked at that quick. I said, wow, this is art. They had cleaned it up, and it looking so good hanging on the wall. And I said, he knew what he was talking about. See, I didn't know. I always liked pretty things, because when we was coming up, we didn't have nothing. You know, we didn't have money. We just whatever we had, you know, my mama made do with it. And I tell you, piecing up quilt, putting quilt was my joy. I love to do that. Everything my mama did, I wanted to do too, but I ain't want to have all of them children she had. I just had 2. Mama had 11. And I just, and we get those old pieces. We had uncle living in Mobile. He'll come from Mobile, Alabama, and he'll bring stacks of old clothes. And he was bringing for my mama to take, you know, and take them for we could make quilts. And I said, we ain't making quilts. I went in there and found me some skirts and some bras and dresses. So we didn't have nothing. We grew up on the rough side of the mountain. But I was growing up on that rough side of the mountain. As I grew, I learned more. When once I discovered that I was doing art, I felt like a millionaire. Cause I thought about art, everything had to be pretty. That when we was going to school, they told us all the good things, all the pretty thing was art. But once I saw my quilt and I walked through that Atlanta music, jeez, I looked, I said, wow, I couldn't believe that was my quilt. I don't know what they had did with it. They had cleaned it up. They had did something. You know, we got together, we pieced up quilt out of old clothes. You know, like the skirt get old, the dress get old, the pants get old. My mama cut that. We got the best off that part and put it in a quilt. But I always wanted new pretty color, and blue was my favorite color. It was always my favorite color, blue. But after I seen all those other colors, every color I see, that is my favorite color. And I tell you, we sat up late at night, you know, trying to, you know, cutting out pieces. My older sister ain't never wanted to do nothing but cook and eat. She was a good cook and sleep. But we got those things, got the best off that thing, and we made quilts. My mama made many quilts. And she tried to get my older sister. My older sister told my mama, I'm gonna make this one. When I make them, I ain't making another. She said when she graduated, she was going to New York, and that's why she went to New York. Up there. Making quilts in those days, I tell you, it was a thrill. See, our parents during those days, they made their own top. But you know, when the ladies in the neighborhood, they came together and whole quilted top. And I used to be so glad when they come and help my mama quilt, because I didn't want to do none of that quilting, but I learned. My mama learned us how. My mama learned me how to cook. And I said, what you got bringing me here and learning me how to cook? We ain't got nothing to cook. Every day we have eat cornbread and cornbread gravy. So my mama said that whatever she had, you know, she cooked it. And one thing in that neighborhood, everybody in that neighborhood was our parents. If we left at their yard, when we got cut up, those people over there in the next neighborhood, they beat us. And Ben I went home and told my mama, we got another one. And I thank God we grew up on the rough side of the mountain. I thank God, you know, for Mary Ann's mother. I'm not saying it because Mary Ann sitting inside me, but God doing here. Mary Ann could tell y'all too. We went to Mary Ann's mother's house, and we asked for a little meal or a little soda or something. She gave us meal, lard, flour, meat, grits, rice, everything. Everything, you know, she gave us. And we went home, and I had a sack. She had put it in a sack. And my older sister, she had a sack. And when my mama saw it, she said, what y'all don't stove? I said, we ain't stove nothing. Lily Mae, her mama was named Lily Mae. I said, Lily Mae gave us this. My mama just fell out and went to crying. You know, because a lot of time we went to some people's house and asked for food. That's what they tell her. Tell your mama she'll not have had all them children she couldn't take care of. But that was all right. My mama started crying from there. And my older brother told my mama, she was telling you the truth. And my mama slapped my brother. But she was telling the truth. Well, maybe But I thank God. And I thank God for the opportunity that we get to go on all these different trips, y'all. When I go somewhere and people meet me, when they hug me, I think I'll be something. Because we were always taught that we were nothing. We were nothing because we ain't had nothing. I went to school a lot of time, buck barefooted, and the teacher be in last when the student last. And sometimes it was so cold, we went there with my next door neighbor down there. Me and her was in the grade together. And she told us to get out because we didn't have that 25 cents to pay that fee. Because that wasn't during Christmas time. You know, they was putting apples out in a orange or something in a bag. She made us stand up out there in that cold. And we went by. She came to the front door and she said, y'all get from the front and go on the back on the playground. And we went around on the back on the playground. And our third grade teacher, y'all, she came out there. She said, what y'all doing out there at third grade teacher? And I said, Miss Brown told us to come around here. She said, y'all come in here. And she got us a chair. I was take it just like that, leave on the seat. She got us a chair and put it close to the heater. She said, y'all sit down. And I just tell you the truth, God is a good God. Lord, I just tell y'all this again. When I walked through that 11 meeting, and I saw my quilt hanging on that wall, I just couldn't believe it. I asked them, so Audrey, what did they do? They said, we had to clean up for you, China. We cleaned that quilt up for you. And I said, Lord, I wanted to buy it back from them. It was beautiful, y'all. It was beautiful. And coming up in the days, y'all, it was tight, but it was right. God brought us through it. And thanking y'all and all of y'all for bringing us up here. I know y'all said China got a big mouth. Yes, I got a big mouth. I love to sing and pray, and I love to give God the praise. And I love people. I love all of y'all. Thank you, Jesus, for y'all having us. Come on here again. Thank you all. Thank you. God bless you.
So
That blue and white quilt over there, that's my quilt. That's a bear pole. We call it a bear pole.
So, now you gave me so much stuff. Now I feel like I don't want to ask my question. But I will. So this series is named Slavery to Freedom, An American Odyssey. And I'd like for you to talk a little bit about the history of quilting and its relationship to the American Odyssey. We've talked a little bit about Gee's Bend. Many people would not know where that is. But it has a very particular history, certainly with respect to voting rights and civil rights. So one of the stories that I heard as a young adult living in Alabama was that Dr. King had come to Gee's Bend to organize for voting rights. You and I have also talked about the fact that my connection is actually to Camden, Alabama, which is across the river. And those two cities have a unique relationship as well because of voting rights. Could you talk a little bit about that history of Gee's Bend, certainly that relationship to Camden, and how the ferry was used to restrict voting and civil rights?
Well, I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that was told to me. Like I told you, some of the stuff I'm learning myself about Gee's Bend, and some of that I lived myself. Dr. King came down to Gee's Bend back in the, I think in the mid-60s, and at our church, Pleasant Grove Missionary Baptist Church. During that time, I think I was maybe about 8 or 9 years old. And see, when our parents had a meeting like that, they didn't allow us as young as we was to be in that kind of meeting. So we couldn't go to the church, to hear him speak. And I was told that our church was the only church that allowed him to come because the other church was afraid that the white people were going to burn their church down. And so, thank God, he didn't allow nobody to do anything to our church. And Pleasant Grove was one of the churches that was the only church that was in Boykin at the time. And so I was told in, I think it's 1969, if I'm not mistaken, that's when they said they had the ferry. They had stopped the ferry from running because they didn't want us to, have access to come across the river to register to vote. because see, down in G's Bend, it only was a few vehicles there in G's Bend, because what some of the men would do, they would just load up, a truckload of people and take as many as they can over the counter to register to vote. And I remember this play they did about G's Bend, my aunt Mary Lee Bendall, and she was talking about my mama was with her. She said when they went down there to catch the ferry across the river, the ferry was gone. And so when they went, they did go over to Camden. When they got over to Camden, she was her name is Mary Lee Bendall. My mama called her T90. She went to see this. She saw this water fountain. One of the water fountains had black on it, and one had white on it. So my aunt, she said she wanted to taste that white water. She wanted to know how the white water tastes. And so my mother was kind of scared. See, my mama, she was the oldest one of all of her sister and brother. And she said, T90, don't you go taste that water. Them folk will kill you. And she said, no, I want to taste that water, see how it tastes. So while mama was trying to stop her from going, she called her to her jacket. And she didn't know when you kiss her to her jacket, she'd pull her arm out and went anyway and drank the water. So when she come back, she said, T9, how the water taste? She said, Jay, what the other water, that just was colder than the black water. That's what she was saying. But anyway, when they went over to Camden, and I remember when they started doing the civil rights movement, when Dr. King had got it organized so we can march over there in Camden, picking in line and going to the stores. We were buying the food from the white people, and they didn't want the black people to work there. And so we was picking in line, and we were marching in the street of Camden when we were marching from Antioch Baptist Church uptown Camden. It was this mean sheriff, Lummy Jenkins. He then, he showed us that what he can do. Because my aunt was saying this song. She said, Lummy, you never can jail us all. But guess what he did? He put every one of us in jail. He put us on that bus. I was one of them that was involved. Myself and two more, my cousin, they put us, we were the youngest one. They put us in jail. I think I about maybe between 14 and 15 years old at that time. And my sister that I'm next to, she was a little older than I am. She and Miss Nettie Young and a lot of my other aunts and cousins, they put them in the prison camp. But that Friday night, my aunt came over and got us out. We didn't have to spend the night there in jail. So they made sure we didn't get comfortable at all. I remember when I went to that jailhouse, they had like these iron beds in the house, and we were saying, I said, Lord, we in jail with that? We ain't did nothing to be in jail. And so my aunt came over and got us out of the jailhouse, took us home, and then my sister and Miss Ned and them, they stayed in there from that Friday up until that Sunday. And this story Miss Ned was telling about when she went into the jail, the camp, the prison camp, she had a backache. And see, in order for them to try to get some rest or sleep, they had to lay on the concrete floor because they didn't have nothing else to lay on. And so she said when she came out of there, she didn't have no more backache. So that's why you got to watch how you treat people. Because see, sometimes it look like the worst thing that can happen to you end up being the best thing that could happen to you. Amen. See, by the grace of God, he took care of us. He's still taking care of all of us. And I thank God that, I was able to witness some of this and still in my right mind, I can remember some of it. Now, I don't remember everything because I was just telling somebody earlier today. Some of the stuff I can remember way back when, and I can remember what happened the other day. And so, and I guess that with all of us, in life, you're getting older. And I thank God that he allowed me to get as old as I am. Because, see, both of my parents died. My daddy died when he was 56. My mama died when she had just turned 62 or 63 years old. And I have lived longer than either one of them. And I thank God for it. I suffer with pain. I'm a diabetic. I have high blood pressure. And I thank God that he able me to kind of control a little bit. All of us have something going on in our body. And I thank God that he allowed me to be able to feel, because see, some people not able to feel none of it. And to get back to the slavery freedom, Well, the Freedom Couldn't Be is one of the places that Dr. King got organized. And they built the Freedom Couldn't Be for the ladies in G's Bend to have somewhere to work. Like it was kind of like a sewing factory. And it was some income they had to, to be able to work and to take care of their children, because a lot of them just had a whole lot of children. My grandmama, I was told she had 17 children. My mama had 12, but like I said, only 8 of us live. I mean, a lot of people in the community. I remember one lady, she had, I was told, I think, 21 or 22 children. I said, my God, and she had, I think about 3 or 4 sets of twins. And I said, oh my God, but God still allowed them to be able to train these children up, to work in these fields, pick cotton. We don't pick cotton. I said, maybe that's why we having back pains and knee aches and all the stuff, because we done it back then. And I'm quite sure I'm not the only one in here done it. I mean, white and black have pick cotton. God allowed us to be like a unique place, and G's Bend is, they call it G's Bend because it says it's in the bend of the river. Because where I live, on the side part of G's Bend I live, it's near the ferry and the river. And see, in the other part, they named the Boykin, where the post office is at. And we have to drive all the way out of G's Bend to go to Camden. And that's like a 40-mile drive. And I can drive from my house to go down there to catch the ferry. It's only 7 miles across the river. And it's a whole lot. It helps out a whole lot. Some of them that work over there in Camden, they can catch the ferry in the morning time. That's like a 15 or 20-minute ride. And they don't have to drive the whole almost an hour drive. See, God have blessed G's Bend, and we have come a long way. It's been a lot of changes in G's Bend, especially since we got to be named famous. That's what they say. But I don't feel it. I just still feel the same old Mary Ann Pettway. And I thank God for Dr. Gibb for bringing us and everybody for wanting us to tell about G's Bend. And guess what? It's not about us and not about these quilts. It's all about Jesus. He wants us to share what he have done for us with other people when he say, well, if he did for Mary Ann and China, what about me? He'll do the same thing for you.
I am in this moment all the more grateful for Cynthia Ross, who introduced me to G's Bend as a young woman. I was in college at Auburn, and she wanted me to know that history. And I had no idea that 1,000 years later I would be at Michigan State. And that I would have the opportunity to be able to share that history. And so there are no mistakes in life. I had no idea that would put me on the path to be here and to share this moment with you.
Thank you.
We've talked about your quilts as art. We've talked a lot about that today. But often when you all talk about your quilts, you talk about them from a very utilitarian purpose, right? Like you all, your family made quilts because you needed them.
Yeah,
you talked a lot about the material needs, that quilts functioned as bedding or to block out the wind in windows or to keep you warm.
Yes.
Right? And I love that you talked about that with our students this afternoon. You also talked about this necessity of passing down the tradition, your way of quilting to later generations. And what I thought was really important in the way that you all talk about it is using these ordinary things, but these tools and talents to be able to create the things that we needed, right? Even if there were situations of lack. So I hold all of that kind of in the same thought with this idea of your quilts as art. And deservedly so, they're being celebrated, they're recognized for your contributions to art and culture. I remember when the postage stamps came out, because I thought that was amazing. Like I was one of the people that had to go buy a whole sheet. I didn't buy them individually. And I remember never wanting to mail them to other people that I didn't share it, as you were telling us, when you get a gift, share it. I didn't share it.
I didn't either.
But I wanted to ask you, why is it important for us to continue to convene in these spaces, to continue to learn about this tradition of quilting, certainly as a reflection of Black histories and Black herstories? Ms. China, you want to tell us? So I asked, why is it important for us to continue to learn about the quilting tradition as part of Black history or Black herstory?
Because why is it important?
Microphone.
Why it's important for what?
For us to continue, for us to continue to learn about the tradition of quilting as part of Black history and Black herstory.
I think it's important because I think, you know,
Can you pull
the
your
thing about quilting, you know, it can keep you warm. Quilting, because when you are going through with something, I said you are going through with some type of problem, you get that needle and thread, you go to, piecing the quilt or either quilting the quilt. It does something for me. I don't know about nobody else, but when I'm going through a problem, I could get my needles and my thread, and I start sewing, piecing that quilt or either quilting the quilt. And it does something for me. And quilting is important because one thing we need quilt to keep warm. And another thing about quilt, once we started out, we were doing art. I just love doing that type of art. Because when I was in school, they ain't taught me nothing about art. But now, when I discovered I was doing art, when the ArtNet came down from Atlanta and discovered that we were doing art. So I love art now. I love doing quilt. I could quilt, like I say, I could sit up all night quilting, just quiet, just being my quilt. It's something about quilting, y'all. Because when we was growing up, we didn't have nothing to make quilt out. Then if we just didn't have no material to go, ain't have nowhere to go, no money to buy the material to make quilt. Because when our clothes go out, our parents always got the best part that was left on that pants or that skirt or that dress and made quilt. And most of the time they had to get it and make us another dress or something. Mm-hmm. Where quilting is important. They always tell me, quilting is soothe the mind. Quilting do something for your heart. Quilting do something for you. I know he have done something for me. Because when I was going through, didn't see no way with my 2 children, I had to try to raise them. It was hard, y'all. But when I discovered, like I told y'all, when the ArtNet came down there and discovered that we was doing art, when they came to my house and they got 2 quilts, and they gave me money enough, I had money enough to go into a clothes store and get clothes and get food for my children. That quilt, quilting helping me. And ever since I discovered that I was doing art, it just helped me. And I thank God, because during those days, it was tight, but it was right.
Come on now. So, I can't see behind me. I want to talk, Miss Marianne, about your passing down this tradition. And I don't think the monitors are on, but you sent us some pictures, or you gave me some pictures of your grandson.
Yes.
Deshaun, and his quilting. I don't know if we can project those, but if you could talk a little bit about teaching Deshaun to quilt. And as you're telling that story, I will say to our audience that we have some of Deshaun's quilted blocks over here, so you'll be able to see them at the conclusion of our conversation. But can you talk about the importance of teaching your grandson about quilting, and now seeing him as a college graduate doing it, and even now being able to make money by quilting?
Sure. Deshaun started with him when he was 7 years old, like the same age Mama started with me. And my 2 older grandsons, Deshaun and Alexander, actually, both of them are making quilts. So Deshaun and myself actually have a show in AUM, Montgomery, Alabama, AUM University. His professor asked him and I to do a quilt together. And that was something I had never thought of doing together. But when I started teaching him how to make a quilt, he loved it. I remember when I first went to this museum in Auburn, Alabama, the June Collin Museum, And when I went there, I saw these blocks. And my daughter lived in Montgomery, so everywhere I go, they try to be there to support me and everything. And they brought Deshaun over. He was at the age about 3 then. And he saw these blocks. He laid on the floor. At that time, he was just putting those blocks together. And I took some photographs of it. At the time, I didn't think of him to be making a quilt. And that's what he was doing. He was doing designs then. Yeah. And so when he went to college, that's what he took up, graphic design. And he's doing a wonderful job with it. And I sent the doctor one of his pieces that he had in the AUM school. So some of my quilts I was going to bring with me, but I didn't know that was going to run into when I was coming here. And so when I brought what I had finished, I only one that I had finished, and he just loved doing it. Because I asked him himself, I said, Deshaun, why do you want to do quilts? He said, Mom, because you are doing it, and it helped me to pay for my college. I said, well, good for you. I said, thank God that, God had gave me the talent to be able to show him how to make quilts. And it is important to pass down tradition, because, see, Mama passed it down to me. If I didn't pay attention to see what Mama was doing, then I want to learn, and I want to be able to teach him. And so now God has blessed us to be able to go across the world to teach others that wants to know and learn. Now, see, some of these young children don't want to learn it because, see, they're into some of this computer, these cell phones, and all this kind of stuff. They don't want to stick up their fingers. And see, Deshaun, he is very talented. When you look at some of his work, it's almost look like it's a one piece of fabric, but he actually sewed these tiny pieces together, like I do. Because my quilt back there on that table, it's a piece in it so small, I would have to show you where it is. That's how I love making these little pieces that would bring attention to my quilts. Because I got like pieces like this. It even small. I even got some smaller than that in that quilt back there. See how I create my quilts. This fabric that come from another quilt I have done. I practically don't throw away anything. And I'm just like a pack rat. But I love it because, see, I love the colors. That's how I come up with my design. I see the colors. And I love solid fabric. And somebody asked me, why you love solid? I said, well, I'm going to tell you why I love solid. Because you can't tell the wrong from the right side. So both of them looking the same. Now, see, if you got the print, now you can tell the wrong side from the right side in print. And sometimes, guess what? I even turn it on the wrong side and put it in that quilt. And it looks just as nice to me, and it still sells. I said, that's the idea of making my work to sell. Because that's why I joined these ladies, to sell my work and to be able to go off and learn different places. And I have got a chance to say, China and I were invited to come sing for the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, when she was still in office. That was in 2023. She invited us to come to her house, and everybody said, how did y'all do? I said, well, she's just human, just like me. I mean, I was standing there talking with her and laughing with her, and, some people be dressing all pretty with heels on and all this kind of stuff. They said, you're not going to put on here? I said, no. I said, I'm not that bad, I don't wear my sneakers. So I was comfortable. I said, the older I get, the more mature and the understanding I'm about life. I said, guess what? I said, my hair is gray enough to worry about what somebody else think. And if they got a problem with my clothes, the way I dress, that is their problem. Say it again. Their problem. I hope that answered your question.
It did. So this will be my last question. Our students are going to prepare for the audience questions. I talked a little bit about our time today at the MSU archive. And that was such a wonderful experience, even to the point that we had to be reminded that we had somewhere else that we had to be. Dr. McDowell, Marcia McDowell, who you met this morning, Beth Donaldson is here, and Dr. Claire Luz, who is a faculty member of our college, authored a book called Quilts and Health. And it really describes the connection between quilt making and well-being. And that's really relevant for our college because osteopathic medicine really believes in this connection between mind, body, and spirit. when I listen to you all talk about quilting, you talk about it as a ministry, right? This vehicle for personal and community wellness. I've heard and had a chance to be a part of your singing. We all have had a chance to hear that today. Sometimes I've seen you all sing as you are quilting with other members of the collective. Sometimes as you're speaking, doing your own work. And it's such a powerful and spiritual experience. I think actually the connection of your singing and quilting is also a part of that ministry. But can you talk a little bit about that connection, right? Those two kinds of art, both singing and quilting, and why it's important that you all do them together collectively.
Well, to me, it soothes your mind, your body, and your spirit. And if you're having pain, you start working on, because I suffer with arthritis too, and I just forget all about the pain. Once I start sitting down, cutting up my piece for my quilt, and sit to the sewing machine, start piecing it together. And see, I love stitching by hand too. Now, most of the time I do that by hand when I don't feel like sewing on the sewing machine. Because I remember when my daughter came home one time and she said, "Mom, why are you not sewing with the sewing machine?" I said, "Well, I didn't feel like getting the sewing machine now, so I just sit there on the sofa, maybe have on the television. I'm not watching it, but sometimes I have some music playing, or sometimes maybe I might sing a song myself, or just start to praying and thank the Lord for what He done and where He done brought us from." And I remember doing this interview with Joe Cunningham out of California. He came down and did an interview with me. And like I said, we love to sing. And I was asking, I said, "Is it okay if I sing a song?" And so when I sat there and I started singing "Steal Away." And he played the song. I said, "My goodness, I ain't never sang that good." No. I sing from my heart because that's what God gave me. That's a gift He blessed all of us with, to be able to do things, because God blessed all of us with different talent in a different way. That's why He made all of us different. Because if He hadn't made all of us alike, nobody would have know who is who. But thank God that He gave all of us mind to do some things and want to do some things. And I just thank God for that. So we, like China was saying, we had to give God all the praises. Because if He did give us the talent that we have, we wouldn't be here today. And I'm going to give this song I just sang. I don't want nobody praising over me when I'm gone. Give me my flower while I yet live. So I'm giving William Arnett, he's going on home now. I'm giving William Arnett his flowers. Because if God didn't put it on his heart to come down to find us being a collector, He came down to Jesus being and found us. And he found, so this quit on a book, in a book, with Anna Mae Young and her great-granddaughter gripped across a pile of woods. He said, "I need to find that woman that made this quilt." And when he found Anna Mae Young, then she told him about us. And we stayed down at G's being like about 10 or 12 minutes from her. Because she was, my understanding, I think she was born and raised in G's being. When she got married, then she moved up the road a little piece from us. And when he came down, he just blew up like a time bomb. And they said, "Oh, William Arnett made y'all famous." I said, "No, he didn't." I said, "It was God who allowed that to happen." I said, "Do these quilts." And God, the one who gave him the knowledge, come down. I said, "Now, He helped us get out there to be known. He didn't make us famous. It's what we did by the grace of God that made us famous." And I thank Him so much. You know, some people get famous, they look down on folks, but I don't. That's because, see, I know where I come from. And so just how God brought me up, He can take me right back down. So that's why you got to be careful how you treat people going up, because the same one you're going to see when you come back down. So you just have to be careful. And you just pray that God leads and guides you. If you're a spiritual person, just get to know Him if you're not. It's wonderful to get to know God. And I thank God He allowed me to join the church in 1969. And I was almost 13 years old then. I thank God that He allowed me to stay in church and give Him the praise and sing. I don't want nobody to praise when I'm gone. I don't want nobody to pray with me when I'm gone. Lord, I don't want nobody to pray with me when I'm gone. Oh, give me my flower whilst I yet live. Whilst I yet live, the flowers that you give me, I can't see the beauty. Oh, the flowers that you give me, I can't see the beauty. Oh, the flowers that you give me, I can't see the beauty. Oh, give me my flowers whilst I yet live, whilst I yet live. Lord, I don't want nobody to pray when I'm gone. I don't want nobody to pray with me when I'm gone. Lord, I don't want nobody to pray with me when I'm gone. Oh, give me my flower whilst I yet live, whilst I yet live. Thank you, Jesus. Oh, thank you, Lord.
Nobody praise me when I'm gone. Give me my flower whilst I thank
Yes,
you.
Lord. So this is what you are doing. You're giving us our flower. We yet live. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate it.
And I will never, y'all, never put a quit before God. And he said, have no other God before me. He said, with one God, one faith, and one baptism. And it ain't gonna never be but one. Don't put no quit before God.
Miss China,
Thank you, Jesus.
earlier today you said that
What?
You are thankful that we have treated you like a queen, and you are a queen to me.
What'd you say? Queen?
You are.
No.
We when you grow up and you leave home and you come to a far place, sometimes you long for your home. And as you all have been singing today and telling your stories, you remind me of the women that gave me my foundation and the women who made me. And so
Them flowers. Thank you.
I thank you for sharing your stories. I thank you for sharing your voice. I thank you for doing it in this space. Because not everybody is from Alabama, but those of us who have roots and have blossomed and come, yes,
Yeah.
to places that are far from home. Just hearing home is such a comfort.
Yes.
And I thank you for making a way for us. And many of us who are sitting here have that experience. And so, yes, we are giving you your flowers
Thank you.
whilst you yet live. So thank you so much. And with that, I'm going to pull my little self together. I'm going to ask, I think Igwe and Amanda will first ask a question and then take questions from our audience.
All right. Hi. My name is Amanda. Start off by saying thank you so much for coming out and sharing your story. I have a question from the dean, so I'm going to go ahead and ask that. She says, what part of the quilting process is most meaningful for y'all? Is it picking the fabrics? Is it piecing together the fabric? Is it stitching, or is it finishing the product? So what's most meaningful?
It's strengthful.
Most meaningful, like thank you. What brings you the most joy?
To me, designing it. Because I just have my way with the fabric. nobody telling me, maybe I put this together this way or this together. Because I have people, I do a lot of commission pieces, and I want the expensive one. And I tell them, I said, well, as long as I'm designing it. Now, sometimes if somebody will ask me, do a house top? Yeah, I'll do a house top for you. But me, myself, my mind changed, my sister told my mind changed like the wind. So I even try to draw something on paper and say, I'm going to make this clip. Guess what? I had to put it aside because my mind, when I go to piecing it together, it has changed. So that's my best part, the design the quilt.
Okay, my part is when I'm sitting down, cutting out those different pieces, you know, all that beautiful fabric and everything. I just cut it out. When I cut it out, I lay across my bed and I said, Lord, what am I do with all of this? Just like that one over there, that blue and white one. And blue is my favorite color. But now, every color I see is my favorite color. I just love color. I just love, you know, just take time and do it. I'm thinking that God made a way that I can get a sewing machine. Because, you know, we come up, you know, we didn't have sewing machine, you know, come on. It was those cards, but my mama didn't allow us to use. I thank God I was able to go in that fabric store, and Matt Arnett paid for me the first machine I got. He paid for it for me. And when I got home, Lord, I stayed up all night, and I had material. I went in that fabric store. I come out that fabric store with $300-something worth of fabric. You gonna honor my favorite color. Every color I see, Lord knows, I was able to get it, and I got it. And I thank God for opening that door. Because you know, God is good, y'all. But I'm gonna tell you all, don't put them quit before God. He said, I have no other God before me. He said, but one God, one faith, and then there'll never be but one. And I want all of us, y'all, we get up there together, we'll be together. But if we no more crying, no more dying, no more tears, we will be with Jesus forever. Thank you, Jesus. We ain't have to worry about no quit. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. Oh, Jesus.
I guess, can you guys hear me? Okay. Yeah, thanks for speaking to us, guys. My question is pretty similar. How do you find yourself able to put yourself into the quilts as you make more and more of them?
Say it again.
Yeah, okay.
My question was, how do you find yourself able to put yourself into the quilts as you make more and more of them?
Just forget about whoever around you. And that's how you can put yourself into a quilt. And you can come up with some of the best idea, the design you want to come up with. That's the way I do. Now, I can't speak for everybody else because everybody have a different way of doing their own quilts.
And sometimes, you know, I was so a piece like this big. And I just get my roller cutter and I just cut, you know, cut it up. They said, you gonna cut up that? I said, cut it up. If it ain't fitting that way for me, I'm gonna take it and put it on that end. If it don't fit that, I'm gonna put it up right here. I'm gonna cut it. Said I get pleased with that.
Now ask your question.
So for the audience questions, I'm just going to ask, so Dr. June has a question. I'm going to ask when you ask your question, hold the mic very close to your mouth and project your voice, all right, so Ms. China can hear your question.
Just a brief comment first. Like Dr. Gilbert, you know, sitting here, it brought tears to my eyes, you know, man. And so I just want to commend you for coming. I grew up in South Carolina, went to school in Alabama, and my grandmother and all, they used to quilt. So, and I'm sitting here wondering what happened to all those quilts, you know, over time. But anyway, but the other thing you said, the thing about quilts, you know, we were in the house with no heat, and then they became, you know, when it got cold, my mom would bring quilts to put on our feet. So I just remember that. And I want to commend you for, and I want to say one other thing. I hope I say this right. You know, I've been in a lot of places, and some of the most intelligent and learning experience have come from people who didn't necessarily have all these degrees. So,
That's true.
you know, I enjoy just listening to, you know, to that kind of situation. So I just want to commend you. But let me ask you one question. I'll sit down. How do you maintain such a deep faith in God, having experienced all the negative things you've experienced?
Because I know where I come from, how we was raised. I know, when we was coming up, we didn't have no inside water. We didn't have no inside bathroom like we have now. We didn't have no beds to lay on. That's how these quilts came about. Because the people in G's Bend, they had children, so they had to make quilts to put on the floor. Because, see, the houses are not insulated as they are now. And so they had to make quilts to put on the floor. They had to make some quilts to cover up on them. Like 4 and 5 of us in a bedroom together. And that's how we stayed, or still staying, by the grace of God. And just remembering where we come from. No matter where you go, ever forget where you come from. Always remember where God has brought you from. Because I am so grateful that Mama made me done for some of the stuff that I done. Guess what? When I was young, I didn't want to go to church. But thank God she made me. And when I got in church, I stayed in church. When she passed away in 1990, I stayed in church. And I thank God that he allowed me to be able to go out and tell people about him. That's how we keep our faith in God, because we know where we came from. That's where I feel, because I know where I come from. Want to tell?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to thank the two of you for being here. And up front, I want to ask God's blessings for traveling mercies for you going back home. But my great-grandmother, when I was a child, she was from Homer, Louisiana, made us learn how to quilt. And my grandmother, and talking about the whoopings brought back so many memories.
Oh, yeah.
Because I have 2 other sisters. We got whoopings because we did not want to learn how to quilt. We were city children. I was actually born and raised in New Mexico, and my mother would send us to Louisiana in the summer to learn the true ways of life. And just listening to you bring back the memories, knowing the essence of the quilt. And I did learn how to do it. I don't still do it now. But my great-grandmother always told us we had to keep the quilts in the family and to pass them along from generation to generation. And I'm thankful that as we have had children come into the family, we've tried to set them down, to talk to them about learning to keep the quilts. We've had some of them framed as artwork in our homes, but just thank you for the memories and the essence of the spirituality that you brought to this lecture this afternoon. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I got a cousin. One of my second cousins, and I went out there, he had his mama quilt up on the car, changing the oil on his mama quilt.
He didn't die yet.
She came out there, and she got it. She said, I'm going to show you what best to do with it. She got it and burned it up. Had that laying up on the car, always putting on the quilt. And I hope I quit the quilt.
He didn't die yet.
I'll just continue the Southern tradition. Georgia girl.
Hold it close to him.
I'm a Georgia girl. No? I'm a Georgia. I'm a Georgia girl, and so I really appreciate having you here tonight and hearing your story. And I certainly hear some of my life experiences through yours. And I hear you talk about being locked up and picketing and all of that, and I want to praise you for your resilience and for your racial justice work. I had the good fortune of, I think it must have been '04, you were on TV. And I saw you and I fell in love with G's Bend, and there was an exhibit at the Art Museum in Cleveland. So my husband and I drove down and we saw your exhibit there. And I want to say that I bought this book, this beautiful book of quilts, when I was there.
That's the quilt. Well, it's on a pile of wood.
Right, and you are in there. I see you in there. But what I want to know, as you talk about coming up in poverty and all of that, has this quilting been lucrative at all for you? And when this book like this is sold, do you get any royalties?
No, ma'am.
I'm not surprised. And that's another one of the injustices that happen. People who have take from those who do not, and they feel okay about it. But this is a beautiful book. It represents you, but you don't get any benefit from it. And that's
No, ma'am.
just another unfortunate thing.
But thank
you
God he's
so
in
much.
control.
Okay.
Thank you.
I want to say that I saw you. Hold on, I must use my nose. In Milwaukee, I was staying across the street in the Marriott, but I was there for Milwaukee Bucks, the playoffs for the NBA. And that Sunday, you were featured in the museum directly across the street. And you all had a prayer service. You had church first. You remember that? In the 2000s.
I joined them after they came from Milwaukee.
Okay. And you did, they had a full prayer service, and then you all came up and did your presentations. And then I canceled my limo and everything to the airport because I wasn't leaving.
Oh, wow.
So my point is, I have interior design business. I live here in New York, and I want to get your connection because one of my niches that I do in interior design are bed ensembles, and I go all the way even to Germany to buy my down pillows because that's their product, country product is down feathers.
Okay.
So anyway, I want to include you, and I wanted to let you know that I just cleared out a whole warehouse in New York. It took me 2 years of fabric. Because I live both places, I have a warehouse here full of fabric. If you ever want fabric, I have tons of it that start at like $200 a yard. So it's all premier fabrics that I bought all over the world.
I got some business cards back there on the table.
And so are you going to be here tomorrow?
We leave tomorrow.
Oh, I was going to say I'll take you out there and let you hand.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
And I wanted to also say that your work is so similar to Romare Bearden's work. And when I'm traveling around to art fairs all over the country, I take pictures, and I just threw away over in the recycle at MSU over 400 snapshots, so you know that's old because it wasn't on the phone, of Romare Bearden's prints, because with my interior design, I work with a broker out of New York. We're doing homes and they want to buy one of his prints or originals.
Wow.
So I just want to say that piece, I just threw that picture away. That one is what like one of his paintings, the principles and elements of design and the color palette. Yes, that.
Wow.
Art.
Thank you.
I want to show you some on
That's a compliment.
Okay. So when we move to that side, to the table, I'll have you come so you can talk to her and show her so she can see.
So this was a great pleasure, and thank you.
Well, thank you.
One last question. Okay, well, two, just kidding. So,
Okay, so I looked on the internet and it said that you have over 10,000. The the G's Bend Collective has produced over 10,000 quilts. How well do you track that? Is that a right number or is that underestimate?
I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know. Because see, I joined these ladies in 2005, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, that when the Onions, they came down, I think they got this quilt collection started in late 90s. The first show they did was in Houston, Texas in 2000. So I got a chance to go to the second one, the Architect of the Quilt, in 2006. So that's when I got a chance to take my grandson, my daughter, and my son-in-law on that trip. We was able to take some of our family members with us. But I don't know if that's the accurate number or not. It's possible, because I used to keep counting my quilt. I lost count. So I had to stop counting. I didn't do.
Marianne, my sister and I traveled down to Gee's Bend and met you about 15 years ago. And you actually made us some mini quilts, and I have it framed and hanging in my sewing studio. That's the picture I showed you. And I wanted to give you something from my sewing studio that I made. So I made you a pin cushion.
My favorite color. Thank you. Thank you. And I have somebody here from Michigan. She had some of my blocks that she bought. She wanted to share them and show them. Miss Deborah.
I knew that Marianne was coming here in China because I knew they were coming here. I'm one of their students, and I bought these pieces from Marianne. This one is called, this was in 2025, and it's called Some. And Mark, you can tell them why it's called that.
I think Marianne was finishing it up, and I was perusing over her shoulder, and I said, you really got something going on there. Lo and behold, she goes and names it that.
That's his name, Some.
Something. There's a tiny little piece right here. Everybody can see it. It's all hand done. And she also...
Look at the back of it.
She also, yep.
And I didn't realize I was doing it. Actually, when you look at it, I'm quitting my initial, M. And I didn't know it all, because see, when I quit my pieces, this block, when I have a small piece like that, even I did this piece up here, I would put it on the table and I just put my finger, I said, this look like the center part of it. So when I started quitting one way, quit that way, and I just quit until I finished all the way around. So that's how I come up with that design. And that's why I do all my small pieces like this. For my larger piece, I just sew them, one way. I sew my left to my right. And I actually will do a piece, a queen size quilt, or king, actually I've done a king size quilt, less than 30 days. Less than 6 weeks. I was telling them about a quilt I done for a friend of mine. She had, I brought me out to Washington, Seattle, Washington, and she took me over to San Francisco, because I told her I always wanted to go to San Francisco, California. And she surprised me by taking me to San Francisco. And so she told me, I was in the process, I was in the process of getting all my teeth pulled, because all of it was getting loose in my mouth, and the doctor said I need to get them pulled. So I was in the process of getting my teeth pulled out of my mouth. And it's a quilt that she saw on the stamp. She said, I love that quilt, that's her favorite quilt. I said, well, Cindy, when I get back home, I'm going to make that quilt for you. I wasn't going to charge her anything, because she done so much for me. And she said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. I will pay for your dentist. When you get back, you find out how much your dentist is, and you make the quilt. I said, that's a deal. So guess what? She paid for my dentist 2 years before I made her quilt. But she finally got that quilt when I got and she even sent me the fabric to make that quilt. And when I made that quilt, I told her, I said, well, Cindy, I'm going to find a style on real quick, because she kept telling me, no, not in a hurry, not in a hurry. I said, well, style on real quick. Yes! I know she wanted her quilt. So one January, I decided, I said, I'm going to start January the 1st. I began to work on that quilt, and I cut my thumb finger. And I got to stop bleeding enough for me to finish that quilt. I finished cutting out all the fabric, from cutting to stitching to quilting it. From January 1st to February 1st, I was shipping it out to Washington. I had finished that quilt. I still don't believe I'd done it within 6 weeks. A queen size quilt. I mean, quickly, all by myself, and I didn't work on it all day long. I might worked on it 2 hours this day, 4 hours. Some days I even missed from working on it. But there was one quilt I timed myself working on. And I enjoyed it. Everybody said, oh, how you do this? I said, it's a gift God blessed me with. I can't explain no other way. It's a gift that God blessed me how to put my pieces together. Thank you, Ms. Deborah.
Welcome to Michigan.
Thank you.
What a blessing to have you. Thank you.
Okay, so we have some gifts for you. Our students are going to bring them up. The first is a proclamation, which is signed by our governor, our lieutenant governor, and some of our state and local legislators. And so the first is the proclamation, and this is for you two, for the G's Been Quilting Collective.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And the second are some tokens of our appreciation for you being a part of the series.
Thank you. You made me start crying a bit.
I cried enough for both of us.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. And then here,
thank you.
The cards that go with that.
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
So it's interesting. One of you, I can't remember who sent the email last week, and said, so you know you have to say something at the end of the series to wrap it up. And I was like, okay. And I didn't trust myself to do it on the spot necessarily. So I've been thinking about the series this year. I've been thinking, as I have gotten to talk to you all over the last few months, there is an elder in my village named Mama Roberta. And she has known me most of my life, from the time I was a little girl till now. She tells me all kinds of stories that I don't remember from my childhood. And they're always filled with such love. And one of the greatest gifts that she has given me has been her wisdom. If you are a young girl who grows to be a woman, it is such a treasure to have an elder that pours into you. And I remember one morning, she gave this reflection, kind of a meditation about bits and pieces. Mm-hmm. She, too, is a seamstress, and she learned how to sew from her mother. And she talked about using pieces of all different kinds of material, just as you all talked about old clothing, swatches from garments that had been worn, and trying to salvage the best pieces. She talked about collecting remnants from the rag man. I don't know if you all had a rag man. In New Orleans, there was a rag man, and he would come and he would sell different pieces of material, and he would sing, from the street, and people would go out and buy for a penny, a nickel, scraps of material. And she talked about using all of those pieces to be able to reimagine and repurpose them to make something beautiful. So I've been thinking about her a lot, because she talked about these pieces that had often been disregarded, that people were ready to get rid of or throw away. They were often these taken for granted pieces of material, and I'll say that they were aesthetically not pleasing anymore. Maybe they had been torn, or had gotten a stain on them, or soiled in some way. But she talked about always piecing those pieces together and making something new, right? And that it was always magnificent, right? And you wouldn't have thought about that seeing the pieces that came together individually. And then I've seen an interview with the two of you, and I remember I wrote this quote, Ms. Marianne. I heard you say that in order to quilt, you have to get the stitch all the way through all 3 layers to keep it
correct.
right. You talked about continuing in G's Bend to quilt even when cotton was scarce, right?
Yes.
But you continued to find things for the batting. You used old pieces of clothes. Miss China, you talked about using some of your family members' old clothes that were going to be thrown out, and that's what you used to put between the pieces. And you talked about your families using old fabric, things that had once been a part of your daily life, but maybe things had changed and you didn't use them anymore. So I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking about what you said, and I've been thinking a lot about Mama Roberta. And so those 2 ideas have come to me a lot in the past week, and thinking about how do we close this series. So what I will say that I hope we take from this, especially in this moment, that our histories and our herstories are precious. They're precious. They're not perfect, but they're precious. Even the pieces that are not so pretty, if they were to stand on their own, our histories and our herstories are precious. And so I'm urging us that rather than throwing them out, I'm encouraging us to stand in our creativity and our innovation and our power to use them to make something new and to make something beautiful, because our histories and herstories are living things. They're not in our past. We can do that only though if we take your advice and if we're willing to stitch together all 3 layers. So our past, even the ugly parts of it, our present, and our future. With that, I want to thank you all for joining us this year for the Slavery to Freedom series. I want to thank you for joining us in person. Thank you for joining us virtually. I have such gratitude to all of our sponsors. You've been amazing in your support and your generosity. To Barbara Breedlove, all of the hard work to make all of this happen, thank you. We've had a wonderful team of volunteers. I hope I have captured everyone. If you have volunteered and you are here, could you please stand? All of our students, so Amanda, Sarah Riaz, Jerica Lee is here. I know you don't like standing, I'm sorry. Jennifer Miller, Ayandala Webb, Mia Brown, who's not here tonight, our SNMA leaders from our Southeast Michigan campuses. I want to thank the Dean's Office. I want to thank Uno Deuce. You all do so much, not just here, but then going back and re-editing things when we may have maybe not gotten things perfectly. So thank you for the live streaming and recording. I just want to urge us, as we're getting ready to leave for this year, remember the things that we've heard and learned this year. We've had amazing guests. They've all been different, but they're stitched together really, really well. And so thank you all for joining us. I'm going to ask if you would just hang on in your seats for a few moments to let us get down the stairs and get set up over here before you all join us at the table. When you do, please come buy some quilting pieces. You can take pictures, certainly get business cards and chat with the Pettways. Many blessings, safe travels this evening, and we will see you next year.
Good job.